fifth graders. We're here with lesson 35 on problems about comparing and problems about elapsed time. So the first stories we're going to look at are stories about comparing. And these are stories where we compare numbers of objects or numbers of sizes. Here's the first example. One player weighed 245 pounds. Another weighed 160 pounds. How much more did the first player weigh? So if we look at this problem, we're looking for the larger number and there's a smaller number, and if we subtract them, it'll give us the difference. Over here, we have a picture to represent these types of problems. So here's the first thing, the larger of the numbers. And so we're going to write that right in this circle of what it was, 245. And then our smaller person weighed 160, so that goes in here. And now what we want to know, since we want to know how much smaller this person is than this person, we want to know what this is right here, this difference between here and here, because this plus this would give us the weight of this person. So this is our unknown in this problem, our difference. So if we look right here, we have larger minus smaller equals the difference. So how are we going to do this? Well, we'll plug in our numbers. So 240 pounds minus 160 pounds, 5 minus 0 is 5, 4 minus 6 I need to borrow, 14 minus 6 is 8, and 1 minus 1 is 0. And so my answer is 85 pounds. And I always want to make sure that I put this label here because I'll lose a lot of points for that on a test. So let's look at our second example. Here we have Abe is 6 years younger than Gabe. Abe is 11 years old. How old is Gabe? So the first thing that we need to recognize which one is bigger and which one is smaller. It says that Abe is 6 years younger than Gabe. So Abe is the smaller number. And Abe is 11 years old. So this is going to go in here because Abe is 11 and he's the smaller one. I should have made that circle bigger. And the other number that we know is that he's 6 years younger than Gabe, which means that Gabe is 6 years older than Abe. So we're going to put the 6 in there. So this is my unknown of what I'm trying to figure out. Abe is 6 years younger than Gabe. Abe is 11 years old. So how old is Gabe? So now we're going to plug in the numbers that we know. Remember, it was larger minus smaller equals the difference. So our larger is unknown minus the smaller, which was 11, equals the difference, which was 6. So x minus 11 equals 6. So remember, if we read it as subtraction that way, we can read it as addition the other way. So 6 plus 11 equals x. And 6 plus 1 is 7, and 1. So we know that Gabe is 17 years old. All right, the second type of problems we're going to talk about are problems about elapsed time. So stories about elapsed time involve an amount of time between 2 points in time. There's an earlier time and a later time, and we're trying to figure out what this number is in between them. Okay, and so let's look at our first example and how we're going to solve these problems. How many years were there from 1492 to 1620? So to solve this type of problem, it's going to be later minus earlier equals the difference. So first I want to find what is my later year. And I identify the later year by being the bigger year. So 1,492 or 1,620, I'm going to look at those and say which one's bigger. In this case, 1620 is bigger, so I'm going to subtract 1492 from that to give me my difference. 0 minus 2 can't do. And I end up with an answer of 128 years. So there are 128 years between 1492 and 1620. These problems are really that simple. You just have to take the bigger number and subtract the smaller number from it. It's a subtraction sequence. So now what I want you to do is, here's a little challenge. For example D, I want you to come up with your own comparing or elapsed time problem and solve it. So you can use my examples as help of what they should look like, but come up with your own and solve it and bring it to class tomorrow, and we'll see what you came up with. Go ahead and get to work.